Hi, and welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Anika, and I'm your host today. Thank you so much for being here. This is Adobe Live Pro Tips, and today we're creating vector brushes in Adobe Illustrator. I'm really excited because I've always loved adding texture and shading to my illustrations, and this is all vectors, so it's scalable. It's absolutely wonderful, and we're going to be diving into the built-in brush library. We're going to be making some custom brushes as well. So if you've ever made brushes, if you've ever textured any illustration, this stream is for you. While you are watching this, I am live both on YouTube and Behance. Say hello in the chat. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, my name is Anika. Is this here? It's here. It's here. That's me. All right, let's jump into it, shall we? Let's see, what do we have here? All right, give me 1 second, friends. All right. So, bear with me. I do have a spring flu, which is why I'm going to be clearing my throat a little, so pardon me for that. But if you've never seen any of my work before, this is my Instagram. You can reach out to me at my Instagram saying hello. I see so many friends in the chat. Torin, hi, Izzy, Alejandro, Robert, Val, Oliver. That's awesome. I love it. This is my Instagram. I actually just posted a video about my promo and I collaborated with one of our friends at Adobe, and this is really cool because I love to work with you all making some brushes. But today, I'm gonna start by showing you what. Wow, this is really zoomed out. Hold on. Hold on. I did give away some stuff there, but that's fine. Let's dive into what the outcome may look like when you use brushes like these. So this is using the watercolor brush, which is built in the library. And I'm starting by like showing you examples of how your work can look. And this is like a halftone pattern slash brush that was used for this type exploration. And then over here we have some stipple brushes, which is super cool because you can use this by using a blob brush and then making a pattern brush out of it. And we're going to dive into all of this in our 20 minutes here today, or at least try. This was a chain brush, which is super cool, and we're going to get into that as well. And then I was working with some pride brushes. I'm going to go to outline mode and show you that this is literally just a stroke. And I've changed the width of the stroke. You can actually do that by going here and then changing the width of the stroke here. Right over here. It's not letting me. Okay, here we go. That's how you can. Actually, that was cool too. All right. And then because it is Pride Month, I thought that we could do some Pride social assets as well. Again, if I go to outline mode, these are just strokes and this is literally a brush that is applied to them. So that's cool. That's what we're going to do today. Let's hop back into what we have over here. I made some assets to show you how these brushes work. But if you're wondering what workspace I'm in, I go to Window, Workspace, and Essentials Classic. That's what I'm working on, and I'm going to open up my brushes panel real quick. Looking at chat to see if you have any questions, and we don't. All right, we're good. Okay, so if you've never used a brush library, I'm going to zoom into this, and this is the brush libraries menu, right? And I'm going to click on that, and we can go to any of these brushes here. Let me pull this up so you can see it on your screen. You have any of these brushes, arrows, artistic, borders. You can open up these brush libraries, and this opens up the inbuilt library that's built in Adobe Illustrator. You have all of these watercolor brushes, which are super cool. So let's go ahead and use the watercolor thick just to demonstrate how that looks. Pressing B on your keyboard, I'm going to press this and see what comes up. Now you can't really see it because it was on a lighter background, but this is what we have here. And you can actually change the blend mode of this brush stroke here and change the appearance of that. But you can also go ahead and change the color of the brush stroke, which is right over here. So now it's pink and you can actually see that little watercolor texture, which is super cool. And you can go on adding that, pressing B on your keyboard and just adding these brush strokes until you're happy. I actually love doing something like this because it's kind of therapeutic, and I'm just using a mouse here. I don't know if you all can see it, but I'm just using a mouse here to add these illustrations, these brush strokes. I'm going to press Command Y again just to get a hold of these brush strokes again. These are all strokes. I'm going to get these here, pressing Command Y and pressing Command X, and maybe I'll delete all of these. Now I want these to be inside the shape. So the one pro tip here would be to draw inside, which is going to create a clipping mask for you. And I'm going to click in here and press Shift D twice to be in the draw inside mode, which is Shift D to switch modes, and pressing Command B to paste my brush strokes here. Now I can press B again and continue drawing within this draw inside mode, which is super cool. That's one of the built-in libraries, and pressing Shift D again to come out of that space. And that's cool. This was what we started from. This is how we're here. You can continue go on adding reflections and like more shadows and like more information here. And this is something that you can do with it. But that's enough with the built-in libraries. You can go on exploring all of these here. We have dash circles, so I can go on creating something like this. We have something like this, which is, I actually love this. And not only can you do this with like the brush, you can also do this with shapes. So I have this shape, and you can add this kind of like a race car track, or like a starting, or like a Halloween. I mean, there can be multiple use cases for something like this, and I really love that. Let's see, there's a flower one, crystals. That's cool. I've actually never seen that. All right, now let's go and make something cool. What's a halftone brush, and how do I create that? Well, when you think of halftones, it's essentially dots, right? So I have this dot here, and I'm gonna make this black because we want that, and then we can change color with the brush settings. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in and make it slightly smaller, and what I'm gonna do is create many dots from the smallest dot to the biggest dot, right? And how do I do that in Illustrator? The blend tool. And I actually love using the blend tool. It's right over here, W for the shortcut, but I barely ever remember the shortcut. Select the two shapes, like click on the first shape and then click on the second shape, having the blend tool selected. That's how you use this to make these blend options, but right now I need more space. So you go to Object, Blend, and Blend Options, and this pops up. Now you can go ahead and change it to specified steps. Right now it was on smooth color, which is why it had very less space. But I can go to specified steps and make like 12 steps. Check and uncheck that. And I think that's kind of nice. Okay. And then I'm going to leave that here. I'm going to create a copy of that and expand the first one. All right. And then I click OK and then drag it out. Maybe a further bit more. Now I have these two things. This is my extra copy. Forget about that. I'm going to keep it on the side. But now I want these two to be blended. And so there'll be dots from the left panel to the right. They'll be the same in size because the starting point and the end point here is the same. But I'm going to click the blend tool, select the first shape, select the second shape. And that's what we have. Now, this is cool, right? This already looks like a halftone pattern here. But maybe I want to add like more dots. I go to Object, Blend, and Blend Options again. Again, it was by default set to smooth color, but I go to specified steps and maybe make it 25 and see how that looks. That's way too much. So let's do 15 and see how that looks. Okay, I'm not mad about that. So let's keep it that and make it like 25, right? Now this looks cool, except when I duplicate this, you have to think about brushes in the sense that when you duplicate it, how is this gonna look, right? When I make a duplicate. Now you see that there is a miss kind of alignment here, but it's not really because it's actually aligned to it properly if I press Command Y. But I feel like it needs to be overlapping a little bit because there's this extra space if it stays like this. So what I want to do to eradicate that issue is I'm going to create a copy of that and make like a square guide. Press Command R to bring up rulers. And what I'm going to do is essentially point it to the center of this guy and then point it to the center of the last circle we have as well. This is going to create essentially, because we're making like pattern brushes here, I am going to go ahead and crop it out to the square shape that we have. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move the square. Let's go ahead and expand the shape. Click on expand, click on OK. And then I'm going to bring this square shape here. And then I'm going to delete all of these extra shapes on the side. Pressing shape builder tool. And I'm going to show you what that does. All right. And then I'm going to delete this guy. That brings me to this guy. And if I create something here, it gives me no extra space in between these two patterns. And that's what I wanted from the get-go. So this is your brush now. And that's the stamp, right? And this is my brush panel. So within the last 5 minutes, we created the halftone brush. Now, how do I actually use this brush? You click on this graphic, click and drag. into the space, and you have some options here creating the new brush. So you can actually create a scatter brush, an odd brush, and a pattern brush. These brushes are not available to me right now because I don't have a Wacom attached to my computer. If I did, I would have that option, and also this was not meant to be used like that. And then I can go ahead and say halftone live or love and keep everything by default. And if I zoom in here, I can show you how Illustrator automatically creates like a corner tile, which is cool. And then you can go in here and create like an inner corner tile, which can be auto centered or an auto in between. Let's see what an auto slice does. Auto slice looks cool as well. All right, Ash on the YouTube chat says, thank you for this. Thank you for joining, Ash. If you have any questions, meanwhile, let me know. I'm watching the chat. So this is a brush. We just created this. It's called Halftone Live. Why don't we go ahead and use it on a shape? So this shape is, okay, right here. And then I can go ahead and use this shape here. And that's the brush. You can go ahead. It is slightly deformed, so we can fix that here. I can go ahead, double click into this option, and that's gonna help me change how this looks. So let's keep this auto centered here and then click on OK. Apply to strokes. So as you change anything that you have in the stroke panel, you can change the size of the brush strokes that you've added, or you can increase it as well from the stroke panel, which is cool. I can also go ahead and use the B tool, which is the brush. I see there's some spacing, so it needs some editing, but that's what you would do if you wanted to like create a brush, right? Now I have this brush, or you can create just one stamp here and then select that and scale it up and down like so, right? Maybe I wanted this as like my pattern. Like, who knows? What if I wanted a really big halftone pattern? But that's what you would do to create something like this. This obviously took a lot more time than 5 minutes, but that's how you would create a halftone brush. Now let's go ahead and quickly create a stipple brush. I know we're short on time, so let me grab some samples here. This was also created from a halftone brush. So as I said, not only can you use it with the pen tool, with the brush tool, you can also use it with shapes. So I took a circle and applied the halftone brush to it, which is super cool. That's a cool effect. And if I maybe had like a shape underneath it, something like so, right? And then send it to back. That'll be cool. And then you can go ahead and change the color of this as well. But maybe I can only change, let's say I change the blend mode. You have something like multiply. Did it change it? I have it. I have the wrong one selected. I had the wrong one selected. It's all good. Anyway, that's how you would do something like halftone. But what about a stipple brush? A stipple brush is cool because it's also dots, but it's a different kind. Now, all of these, let me press Command Y as outline mode. And this is essentially the blob brush. So if you've never used the blob brush, it is literally Shift B. And I just created all these blobs. And I can like size it down as well. So I can do that in just a second. But you create all of these blobs, right? And obviously they're less random in this case, and you almost want it to be like a circle. And what I did was I grouped this and then I tried to make like a pattern out of it, which was like, hey, what would this be like if I made like a spray out of it, right? So I did that multiple times to create something like this and create like a scattered shape outside, denser in the center, which gives me kind of that effect with like the shading. And this is something that I got. Let me delete this guide over here. Unlock, and then I'm gonna delete this guy. All right, and then this is what we got from this blob over here. I'm gonna group that, and we can actually create a brush from that as well. So I have this shape right over here. That's a stipple brush. I'm gonna drag it in, and then I can do pattern. Okay, let's click on pattern and then click OK. Now this is what it looks like, and this has a lot of space in between. So what you can do is essentially change the spacing in between this as well. Actually, I think I want to create an odd brush for this. Let's see. Let's create an odd brush. Click on OK, and let's click OK. And now I'm gonna press B and see what that does. Yeah, that's the odd brush. So, all right, let's go back. Instead of creating a pattern brush, I created an odd brush, but you can also create a scatter brush for that. Now, there are like multiple ways you can do this. With the scatter brush, it essentially does what it says. It scatters the brush stamp onto multiple areas depending on your brush settings. So I'm going to keep this as stipple live here, keep all of these default, keep this tints, and click on OK. Now this is the brush that I created. I applied the brush to the brush. No, the spinning wheel is back. Hello, friends. All right. We're gonna wait for that to end, and I'm gonna look at chat while that happens. I see Kevin in the chat saying, "Hi, everyone. I always look forward to Anika's streams. Thank you so much for being here. We are 15 minutes in. This is really, man. Okay, hold on. Let me switch here. Okay, did it fix it? No. Hold on, friends. I might have to force quit Illustrator and come back. Give me 1 second while I fix that. All right. Val says, I felt that no spiritually. Yeah, I feel this. Okay, I am reloading Illustrator, but thank you so much for being here. We have covered a lot in the past 15 minutes, but I'm gonna go back here to my Illustrator screen. I'm opening Illustrator again, so we have everything under control. Let's see. Do we have everything under control? Yes, we do. All right, I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back. Where are we? We are here. Okay, we lost our progress with the stipple brush, but this is why we had already made the stipple brushes. This was exactly why. Contingency plans always have stuff ready to go. All right, so you made the stipple brush, right? And you can now use that stipple brush. I'm gonna open up the brushes panel right over here, and that's the brush we have. Press B on your keyboard, and then this is the brush. Now you can size it up and down like so. Here. And then, sorry, not like that. Make it bigger. Yeah. And then you can change your color to that as well. So make that. And then you can actually use the draw inside mode to add texture to these guys as well. So you can make copies, all of that, like so. And that looks cool. Not that, but that looks cool. And then you can essentially go ahead, do that for a while, take your time with it, and make some shading. And you can add shadows and highlights. I did not have time to add highlights to this, so this is incomplete right now, but I just wanted to demonstrate how it can make textures to your yeah. All right, I am gonna go to chat and see if I missed anything. All right, I did save my work. The only beach ball that does not evoke joy. That is right, my friend. Okay. All right, now that we're here, let's create a Pride Month brush as well. We do have about 10 minutes to go, and I do want to create like a Pride brush and a chain brush. So let's create a Pride brush really quickly, and then I'll show you how to use that. So as you can see, there's one right over here, but this is literally just rectangles. If I press Command Y, I have all these colors, and these are all from the color palette. Derek Burton from the chat says, will you have a replay for your demo? Yes, we have all of our videos live that are like, which are live, but then they come up as replays under the videos, the live tab on YouTube. So if you log on to the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see all the live videos as VODs. All right, so I have this shape. I'm going to group that, and then I click and drag it, and I'm going to create a pattern brush again. So we covered all of that, scatter, art, and pattern brush, but I'm going to create another Pride one because it is Pride Month. So I can create this, and this by default looks cool, but there's a pattern tile that's missing here, which is essentially the corner tile. So maybe I can do auto between. You can also do auto sliced. You can't see the difference here because it is rectangular shapes, but I'm going to create method none, and that's what we have over here. That looks cool. And then if I press M on my keyboard and then select this brush that I made, that's cool. I kind of like that. And you can essentially do that with any shape that you have. So maybe I want to make like a heart with it, right? So I'm going to use my pen tool to really quickly do this. I'm going to rotate this like 90 degrees, and then not 90, that was 45. All right, and then I'm going to bring this in. I'm going to make this shape real quick, and then I'm going to make this outline. This may not be perfect, but we'll see how that turns out. That's actually not that bad. So you can actually make something like this really, really quickly with a Pride brush that we made within a few seconds. And now you can go ahead, literally do any of these shapes, like a Pride, I don't know, a Pride waterfall. I actually kind of like this. how do I go about this? And you can go ahead and create any of these shapes, and like nothing is unachievable with this Pride Mountain. All right, and in the last 5ish minutes or so, I really do want to create like a chain brush. So what I'm gonna do is, for this sweet little anchor here, there is a chain brush here, but I'm gonna showcase how I made that. So I'm literally gonna take a rectangular shape and press the stroke color, make it white for this purpose, and then round the corners. Now this is like a chain link, but not really, because it doesn't really have any stroke or like any links for the chain. So let's actually increase that to 15, for instance, and then maybe make like, I don't know, like a point. I'm gonna press to outline mode and make it the same width of this guy. Now this is like slightly interesting. Hold on. All right, and then you want to change it to rounded caps, because I don't want my chain link to have abrupt edges. So I'm gonna make this a center. I do want it to look like this, and this is how it's gonna start, and it has to be this way on both the ends. Now remember how we created the halftone brush here, and we cropped the edges of these two brushes because we wanted to fit it in a block. Think of it as like stamp. If you've ever done like lino cut or any of those like stamp printing as a kid, you would know that. And if you want to make a pattern out of it, you would know that every block should repeat. And so we want this chain link to repeat. But if I repeated something like this doesn't really look like it's doing anything. It doesn't look like a link, right? So how do I fix that? I do want to make a copy of this. I'm going to do that really, really quickly. And I want to expand this because I want to cut it in half. So I go to Object, Expand, click on OK. And I actually want to make a copy of that as well. And then I want to cut it in half. So I'm going to make this shape. Now that's just my way of doing things. I'm going to divide this by 2. Let Illustrator do the math. And then... oh man, did I do something? Oh, didn't select the 2 shapes. And then I'm gonna cut this half, right? I actually wanted to cut the other half because we're going from inside to outside. Okay, this will make sense in just a second here. So I have this shape and I'm gonna prop it over here and actually make this as the center. I'm going to bring that out, and now I'm going to bring this and make it a copy on the other side because it has to link on both the sides, right? That's how chains work. So I'm going to bring a copy of this. You can also use the transform tools for this, but it's just easier for me to do this way. And since I'm holding shift on my keyboard, it's holding the same its alignment, right? So these two are aligned. Now this is my pattern tile that we have, and now if I copy paste it and place it right next to it, it kind of looks like a chain, right? It kind of does the thing. It kind of does the thing. And if I paste it here and press Command D, actually there was some space into it, but if I do this, that looks like a chain. That is cool. I do like that. So this is how you make the first ever like the chain link. So I bring that in here. And then I create a pattern brush, click on OK, and I say chain live. And I see that over here, you can't actually see it because it's white. So let's actually change the color before we do that. So I'm going to click on expand and change the color of the fill to black so you can actually see it. And now I'm going to make a brush out of it and then create pattern brush, click on OK. Checking on time, we do have about 4 minutes left. We do see this thing here, which means you have to create something by default to replace this default. Now all of these tiles can be replaced. This is the outer corner tile, the inner corner tile, the start and the end tile. So for the interest of time, I'm going to show you what I created here for my chain. And this is how, like, there's some thought process that goes into it, because this was like the corner tile, like if it goes from left to right, if it goes from right to left, and this is what the end tile would look like. If you wanted to replace any of these chains by any of these end tiles by any of the shapes that you've created, you would select that shape, click option, hold option, and drag it onto any of these boxes. You see how that highlight happens? That's when you can actually replace the shape with the shape that you've created. So let me show you the chain thing here, and these are all the shapes: the outer corner tile, the side tile, which is the one that you created the first time, the inner corner tile, the start tile, and the end tile. I did not add a start tile in here, but if you finished that this is something like how the tile would look. But with that said, I would say go ahead, explore how everything works with Illustrator. These are some examples of the pride. But I just had fun creating something like this. But with that said, thank you so much for being here. Make something fun. Make a pride flag brush, make a chain brush. If you're doing something for your next project, make something fun using brushes, and it's all vector shapes. So I'm gonna press Command Y again here and show you that these are all still strokes, so you can still edit all of these, which is cool. You can create some social assets, animate them, make like a Pride Rocky Road. I don't know if that's a thing, but make it a thing. Why not? All right, let's jump back to my video and say thank you so much for joining in. If you have any questions, reach out to me on Instagram, over on Discord. Tag me if you want to ask me anything, because I'm usually not on there. But if you find me on Instagram and send me a message, I will be happy to answer. Thank you so much for joining me again, and stick around for more Adobe Live programming. We have tons coming up, and we have Torn Up at 3 p.m. So stick around and have some fun. All right, bye for now.